My name is Kelsey and I'm 28 years old. 3 months ago, I sat at my parents' dining table with a pen in my hand. My father stood behind me with his arms crossed. My mother sat across from me with tears in her eyes. My brother David smiled from the doorway. They wanted me to sign away my inheritance. They wanted me to give everything to David, every dollar, every property, every piece of our family's legacy. The notary sat beside me, quiet and professional. She had dark hair pulled into a neat bun. She wore glasses that reflected the overhead light. She kept her eyes on the documents. My hands shook as I held that pen. This was supposed to be the moment I lost everything. But here's what my family didn't know. That notary wasn't just a notary. She was my lawyer. She was my friend. And we had a plan. I need to tell you this story because it changed everything. It showed me who my family really was. It taught me lessons I'll never forget. And maybe, just maybe, it'll help you see your own family more clearly. Let me take you back to where this really began. If you are watching this right now, drop a comment letting me know where you are viewing from. Before I tell you about this life-changing decision, hit like and subscribe to hear more real stories about family loyalty and betrayal that might just change how you see your own relationships. Growing up, I thought I had the perfect family. We lived in a beautiful home in the suburbs. My father ran a successful construction business. My mother stayed home and managed our household. David was 3 years older than me. We seemed like the American dream from the outside, but dreams can hide nightmares underneath. My grandmother Rose was the foundation of our family. She built the fortune my father inherited. She started with nothing and created an empire. She owned rental properties across 3 states. She invested wisely. She saved carefully. And she loved her grandchildren deeply. Rose spent her final years living with us. I was her caretaker. I brought her tea every morning. I read to her every evening. I held her hand when she was scared. We talked about everything: life, love, regret. She told me stories about building her business. She shared wisdom I still carry today. David rarely visited her room. He was too busy with his own life, too focused on his career, too wrapped up in himself. My parents made excuses for him. They always made excuses for him. Rose died 2 years ago on a Tuesday morning. I was holding her hand when she took her last breath. She looked at me and whispered something I'll never forget. She said, "You were the only one who truly saw me." I didn't understand what she meant then. I do now. The reading of her will happened a month later. We gathered in a lawyer's office downtown. The room smelled like old books and expensive cologne. My father sat at the head of the table. My mother dabbed her eyes with a tissue. David checked his phone constantly. Rose's lawyer read through the document carefully. She left specific amounts to various charities. She left jewelry to my mother. She left her watch collection to my father. Then came the big revelation. She split her estate between David and me equally. 50-50, down the middle, properties, investments, cash. Everything divided perfectly. My father's face turned red. My mother gasped. David dropped his phone. I sat there stunned. I never expected anything. I just loved my grandmother. The lawyer explained that Rose had been very specific. She wanted us both to have security. She wanted us both to have opportunities. She wanted fairness. That's when everything started to fall apart. Let me introduce you to my family properly. You need to understand who these people are. My father, Richard, is a controlling man. He built his career on Rose's initial investment. Every property he owns came from her money. Every success he claims started with her help. But he acts like he's self-made. He demands respect he hasn't earned. He expects obedience without question. Richard stands 6 feet tall with graying hair. He wears expensive suits even at home. He speaks in commands, not requests. His favorite phrase is, "Because I said so." His second favorite is, "You owe me everything." My mother, Patricia, is his enabler. She gave up her own dreams to support his. She had wanted to be a teacher. She loved children and learning. But Richard convinced her to stay home, to focus on family, to make him look good. Patricia has kind eyes that hide deep sadness. She bakes when she's anxious. She cleans when she's angry. She cries when she thinks no one can hear. She chose her marriage over her children every single time. Then there's David, the golden child, the favorite son, the one who could do no wrong. David is handsome in a conventional way, tall like our father, charming when he wants to be. He works in finance downtown. He drives a BMW he can't afford. He dates women he doesn't respect. He's always been the center of attention. My parents invested everything in David. Private schools, expensive colleges, business connections. They cleared every obstacle from his path. They celebrated every minor achievement. They ignored every major failure. I went to state school on scholarships. I worked 3 jobs. I paid my own way. And I never complained because I thought that's just how it was. My Aunt Linda is my father's younger sister. She's been married 4 times. She lives off family money and gossip. She thrives on drama. She plants seeds of conflict wherever she goes. Linda showed up at every family gathering with new complaints, new grievances, new reasons why someone owed her something. Uncle Tom is my mother's brother. He's a quiet man who drinks too much. He married my Aunt Susan 20 years ago. Susan is sharp-tongued and bitter. They have 2 kids they barely pay attention to. Tom nods along with whatever Richard says. Susan makes snide comments under her breath. My cousin Rachel is Linda's daughter. She's 2 years younger than me. We were close as kids. But Linda poisoned that relationship with jealousy. Rachel started competing with me over everything. Grades, clothes, boyfriends. She needed to win at all costs. Then there's my grandmother's best friend, Margaret. She's in her 80s now. Sharp as a tack. Margaret knew Rose for 60 years. She knew all the family secrets. She attended the will reading. She watched everything unfold. Have you ever been surrounded by family but felt completely alone? After Rose's will was read, the atmosphere at home changed immediately. My father stopped speaking to me directly. He gave orders through my mother. He looked at me like I'd stolen something, like I'd committed a crime by being loved by his mother. David started making comments at dinner, little jabs, tiny cuts. He'd say, "Must be nice to get money you didn't earn." Or, "I guess Grandma played favorites after all." My parents never corrected him. They never defended me. My mother would sigh heavily whenever I entered a room. She'd make passive-aggressive comments about fairness, about family unity, about respecting your elders. The irony of that last one wasn't lost on me. Family dinners became torture sessions. We'd sit around that table in silence. The clink of silverware on plates sounded like accusations. I started making excuses not to attend. Work obligations, prior commitments, anything to avoid that suffocating atmosphere. Linda called me constantly. She wanted to know my plans for the inheritance. She suggested I do the right thing and share more with the family. She reminded me that David had expenses, that he needed support, that I was being selfish. I tried to talk to David directly. I suggested we were both lucky, that we should be grateful, that Rose loved us both. He laughed in my face. He said Rose was manipulated, that I'd taken advantage of an old woman, that everyone knew the truth. The pressure intensified over the following months. My father called a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the living room. Aunt Linda perched on the sofa like a vulture. Uncle Tom nursed a whiskey. Susan smirked in the corner. Rachel filmed everything on her phone. My father stood in front of the fireplace like he was giving a presentation. He explained that Rose's decision had created problems. He said the family needed unity. He claimed that splitting the inheritance equally wasn't fair. David needed more because he was building a career. I was just a woman who'd eventually get married. His exact words. I sat there absorbing every word, every insult, every assumption. I didn't interrupt. I didn't defend myself. I just listened. My mother supported his argument. She said Rose wasn't thinking clearly at the end. That grief had clouded her judgment. That we needed to correct this mistake. She actually called my inheritance a mistake. David outlined his financial needs. Business investments, property purchases, career opportunities. He made it sound reasonable, like he deserved everything, like I deserved nothing. The family nodded along. They agreed. They supported. They piled on. Only Margaret stayed silent. She watched from her chair by the window. Her eyes met mine once. She shook her head slightly. A warning. The meeting ended with an ultimatum. Sign over my inheritance to David, maintain family peace, prove my loyalty, or face consequences. They didn't specify what those consequences were, but the threat hung in the air like smoke. I left that meeting shaking. Not from fear, from rage, from betrayal, from the crystal-clear realization that my family had never truly valued me. That night, I called my friend Sarah. We'd met in college and stayed close. Sarah is an estate lawyer. Smart, tough, loyal. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. Then she said 5 words that changed everything. "Let me help you fight." Sarah explained my rights. Rose's will was ironclad, legally binding. No one could force me to sign anything. But Sarah also understood family dynamics. She knew direct confrontation wouldn't work. She suggested something brilliant, something unexpected. We'd let them think they were winning. We'd set a trap. We'd expose their true intentions. We'd document everything. Sarah drafted fake documents, papers that looked official but meant nothing. She became my secret weapon, my guardian angel in a business suit. Over the next few weeks, I played my part perfectly. I acted conflicted, uncertain, pressured. I let my mother see me crying. I let my father hear me making worried phone calls. I complained to Rachel about the stress. Everything I said got reported back to my parents, exactly as planned. My father scheduled the signing ceremony. He invited the whole family. He wanted witnesses. He wanted it official. He wanted his victory documented. David started spending my inheritance before I'd signed anything. He put a deposit on a luxury apartment. He bought a new car. He planned an expensive vacation. His confidence was absolute. Meanwhile, I met with Sarah regularly. We prepared. We strategized. We anticipated every scenario. She coached me on staying calm, on not revealing anything early, on seeing this through to the end. I also reconnected with Margaret. I visited her small apartment downtown. She served tea in delicate china cups. We talked about Rose, about family, about truth. Margaret told me things I'd never known. Rose had seen through everyone. She'd known exactly who cared about her money and who cared about her. She'd made her will specifically to reveal character. She'd hoped the family would surprise her, but she'd prepared for disappointment. Margaret handed me a letter. Rose had written it months before she died. She'd given it to Margaret with instructions. Only open it if the family tried to manipulate the inheritance. I read that letter 3 times. Rose knew. She knew everything. She'd predicted this entire situation. And she'd left me instructions, tools, support. Have you ever felt like someone understood you completely even after they were gone? The letter contained account numbers, contact information, evidence of David's previous debts that my parents had covered, proof of my father's financial mistakes that Rose had fixed, documentation of every family lie. Rose had kept records. She'd protected me from beyond the grave. She'd given me everything I needed to stand strong. The day of the signing arrived. My father arranged everything at the house. He wanted home field advantage. He wanted me surrounded. He wanted maximum pressure. The dining room table was set up like a courtroom. Documents spread across the surface. Chairs arranged in a semicircle. My father at the head. My mother to his right. David to his left. Linda, Tom, Susan, and Rachel filled the other seats. The notary arrived exactly on time. Sarah walked through that door in her professional blazer. Hair pulled back, glasses on, briefcase in hand. She introduced herself as Jennifer Walsh, certified notary. She shook hands with my father. She smiled politely at everyone. No one recognized her. Why would they? They'd never met my friends. They'd never asked about my life. I was invisible to them except when they needed something. I sat down in the designated chair, the one facing everyone. The hot seat. My hands trembled slightly. Partly performance, partly genuine nerves. This was it. My father began with a speech. He talked about family legacy, about doing what's right, about Rose's true intentions. He praised David's potential. He minimized my contributions. He made it sound noble, necessary, fair. David smiled throughout. He'd already mentally spent every dollar. His arrogance filled the room. My mother cried on cue. She dabbed her eyes. She talked about unity, about peace, about how much this meant to her. Classic manipulation wrapped in maternal concern. Linda added her voice. She reminded me of family obligations, of respect for elders, of the shame I'd bring if I refused. Susan nodded along. Tom stayed silent but present. Rachel filmed everything. Sarah maintained her professional demeanor. She organized the documents. She explained the process. She asked if I understood what I was signing. Her voice steady, her manner calm. I picked up the pen. I looked at the papers. I took a deep breath. Everyone leaned forward. This was their moment of triumph. Then I asked a simple question. Can the notary explain exactly what these documents say? My father interrupted immediately. That's not necessary. We've already explained everything. Sarah spoke firmly. Actually, as a notary, I'm required to ensure she understands what she's signing. It's my legal obligation. She began reading, but she wasn't reading what my father thought. She was reading from different documents. Real documents, legal documents that Sarah had prepared. This document states that Kelsey Henderson is affirming her legal right to her inheritance as stated in Rose Henderson's will. It confirms that she has been pressured by family members to relinquish her legal rights. It documents attempts at coercion. It names specific individuals who have engaged in this coercion. The room went silent. My father's face turned purple. David stood up so fast his chair fell over. My mother's crying stopped abruptly. "What is this?" my father demanded. Sarah smiled. Not warmly. "I'm actually not just a notary. I'm Kelsey's estate lawyer. These are legal documents protecting her inheritance. Everything said in this room has been recorded with Kelsey's consent. Every threat, every manipulation, every attempt at coercion." I stood up, my voice steady for the first time in months. "I'm not signing away anything. Grandma Rose left me that inheritance because she knew I'd earned it, because she saw me, because she loved me." David exploded. "You manipulative little witch. You planned this?" "I learned from the best," I replied, looking directly at my father. My mother started her crying again. Real tears this time. Tears of anger and embarrassment. "How could you deceive us like this?" The irony was stunning. They'd tried to deceive me, to steal from me, to manipulate me. And they were upset about my honesty? Linda jumped in. "This is outrageous. You're tearing this family apart." Sarah pulled out more documents. "Actually, I have evidence of Mr. Henderson mismanaging Rose's funds during her lifetime, of David accumulating massive debts that were paid from Rose's accounts without her knowledge, of systematic financial abuse. Would you like me to continue?" The room erupted. Everyone talking at once, yelling, accusing, defending. Sarah stood beside me like a guard. Margaret watched from the doorway. I hadn't seen her come in. She smiled at me, proud. My father ordered everyone out. He wanted to talk privately. Sarah refused to leave without me. We stood together, united. He tried reasoning first, then threatening, then begging. He cycled through every manipulation technique he knew. Nothing worked. I was done. I told him I'd be moving out immediately. I'd be cutting contact. I'd be building my own life with my own inheritance. I thanked him sarcastically for teaching me what family shouldn't be. My mother tried the maternal guilt card. She talked about her sacrifices, her love, her heartbreak. I reminded her that she'd chosen her husband over her daughter, that she'd enabled abuse. That love wasn't supposed to hurt like this. David called me names I won't repeat. He threatened legal action. Sarah calmly explained why that would fail. She listed the evidence against him. He left slamming every door. Linda tried to position herself as neutral, as a potential ally. I saw through it immediately. I told her I'd be cutting contact with her too. She'd shown her true colors. They were ugly. Rachel stopped filming. She looked uncomfortable. Maybe she realized what she'd been part of. Maybe she didn't care. I left before finding out. I moved out that week. Sarah helped me pack. Margaret gave me advice. I found a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Truly mine. The next few months were difficult. My family launched a smear campaign. They told extended relatives I'd stolen from David, that I'd manipulated Rose, that I was greedy and ungrateful. Some people believed them. Those people weren't worth keeping. But others saw the truth. Margaret spread the real story. Some cousins I barely knew reached out with support. Old family friends called to apologize for not seeing the abuse earlier. I blocked my parents' numbers. David's too. Linda's, Susan's, anyone who chose their side. I built boundaries like fortress walls. Strong, impenetrable, necessary. Sarah became not just my lawyer, but my family. The family I chose, the family that mattered. We celebrated holidays together. We supported each other's dreams. We built something real. I used my inheritance wisely. I paid off my student loans. I invested in a small business. I bought a modest house. I lived below my means and saved aggressively. Everything Rose had taught me. David's luxury lifestyle collapsed within 6 months. He couldn't maintain his spending without my inheritance. The apartment went back to the bank. The car was repossessed. His girlfriend left. He faced the consequences of his choices. My father's business struggled. Without Rose's safety net and my inheritance to borrow against, his poor decisions caught up with him. He had to downsize, sell properties, face reality. My mother called once. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. She said she missed me. She said the house felt empty. She didn't apologize. She didn't take responsibility. She just missed having someone to control, If you've experienced family betrayal, drop a comment. Tell me your story. You're not alone. Hit that like button if you believe in choosing your own family. Subscribe to hear more stories about standing up for yourself and finding strength in unexpected places. 1 year later, my life looks completely different. I'm standing in my own home. Sunlight streams through windows I chose. Furniture I picked surrounds me. Peace fills every corner. I run a successful online business, helping others navigate family conflicts and estate issues. My experience became my purpose. My pain became my platform. I help people who feel trapped like I once did. Sarah and I expanded her law practice. We focus on protecting vulnerable people from family manipulation. We've helped dozens of clients. We've stopped countless inheritance thefts. We've exposed abuse hidden behind closed doors. Margaret comes over every Sunday for tea. We use Rose's china that I inherited. We talk about life, about choices, about the family we make versus the family we're given. She's the grandmother I still have, the connection I still treasure. I started dating someone wonderful. His name is Michael. He comes from a healthy family. He showed me what normal looks like, what respect feels like, what real love means. His parents treat me like a daughter. It's strange and beautiful. Rachel reached out 6 months ago. She apologized. Really apologized. She admitted she'd been jealous, that her mother had poisoned her, that she saw things clearly now. We're rebuilding slowly, carefully. Trust takes time. I haven't spoken to my parents or David. I don't know if I ever will. Some bridges burn for good reasons. Some distances protect you. Some relationships end so better ones can begin. I think about Rose often. I visit her grave with fresh flowers. I tell her about my life. I thank her for seeing me, for protecting me, for teaching me my worth. The money matters less than the lesson. The inheritance was never about dollars. It was about value, about being seen, about standing firm in your truth when everyone tells you to compromise. Rose knew this family would test me. She prepared me for the fight. She gave me tools and proof and courage. She showed me that real love protects. Real love empowers. Real love doesn't demand surrender. I learned that blood doesn't make family. Loyalty does. Respect does. Genuine care does. The family that matters is the one that shows up, that supports you, that celebrates your success instead of sabotaging it. I learned that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is walk away, that boundaries aren't cruel, that protecting yourself isn't selfish, that you don't owe anyone your destruction to maintain their comfort. I learned that women are taught to sacrifice, to accommodate, to shrink, that we're told family comes first even when family treats us last, that speaking up makes you difficult, that having boundaries makes you cold. These are lies designed to keep us small. I learned that courage isn't loud. It's quiet. It's standing up when your knees shake. It's saying no when everyone wants yes. It's choosing yourself when that feels impossible. My business card sits on my desk. It reads, Kelsey Henderson, Estate Protection Advocate. Right next to it is a photo of Rose. She's smiling. She's proud. I can feel it. Some people ask if I have regrets, if I wish things had gone differently, if I miss my family. The answer is complicated. I regret the family I thought I had turned out to be illusion. I wish they'd chosen love over greed. I miss who I hoped they were, not who they actually are. But I don't regret standing firm. I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret honoring Rose's gift. Those choices saved my life. Those choices gave me freedom. Now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced family pressure about money? Have you had to choose between family peace and personal truth? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's build a community of people who chose themselves. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more real stories about family dynamics, inheritance battles, and finding your strength. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to say no, that it's okay to walk away, that it's okay to protect your peace. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have signed those papers? Would you have fought back? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Thank you for watching my story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for understanding that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight with people we love, or people we thought we loved. Remember, you are not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You are not responsible for fixing broken people. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos. You are allowed to protect what's yours. Rose taught me that. She taught me I was worth fighting for. Now I'm teaching others the same lesson. And maybe, just maybe, I'm teaching you too. Until next time, protect your peace. Honor your worth. Choose your family wisely.